Listen up! There is a storm coming! Like nothing you have ever seen!
Well, g'day, folks. How you going? Hope you're having a good day. I've had one of those days. I'll try and put myself in the bloody frame a bit. That'll make it a bit easier. A bit late tonight. Do apologise for that. A little bit out of my control, unfortunately. Today we were meant to go and pick up the vehicle that Cass and I were speaking about on Friday night, or whatever night it was we were talking, Monday night. And one thing led to another. A couple of things I wasn't very happy with, or not that I wasn't happy with, but things that could be fixed. So are being fixed. And tomorrow, maybe, we'll see how that goes. I do have some pictures, but it seems a bit of a shame to show them to you because it isn't really how the vehicle's going to look. It will be getting wrapped. So, well, not wrapped, but partially wrapped. So I'm kind of figuring doing a before and after seems like a very fair thing. However, doing the before we've got the after, something's wrong with these glasses, or there's something wrong with my eye. It does seem a bit of a anticlimax. So I don't think I'll show you those pictures. I'm going to hang on to them till such time as we've got it wrapped, and then you'll get a bit of an idea of what it's sort of going to look like as it comes to a town near you, hopefully. Now, speaking of coming to a town near you, there is a very high probability that we're going to head south for the first run. I know there are people in Coffs Harbour. I know there are people in my place, particularly folks that I want to catch up with in Port Macquarie. I want to pop into Singleton and catch up with Brad and the crew from the Cali. And then I think we've got a call into Canberra and possibly pick something up there, or maybe even someone, who knows yet, before we wind our way towards South Australia, where all manner of weird things are going to take place. But along that route and around about the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th of October. If you're at all interested in a couple of nice days along the Murray River and you happen to be near Echuca Moama, or would like to be near Echuca Moama, you might find us in that area. There is an event happening on the 12th that we're not part of, but in the lead up to it, we're planning on being around the area and shooting a bit of video and all that sort of thing. So if you are planning on a bit of a trip and you want to stay somewhere, then get in touch with Rachel at vofhq.com, and we'll put you in touch with the requirements. That particular venue that I'm thinking of there is not a venue unless you have an RV. It's not a caravanning type venue unless you are fully self-contained. Most people are, I think, but that may not be the case. But let me investigate more, and we haven't locked anything away with this particular venue. We just might wind up staying somewhere around the area for a few days. But that being the case, Echuca along the river there somewhere in the second week of October. And from there, I think we would make our way to my place in Mildura, because I think there's one there, as we head our way towards Mannum, where we will catch up with Vince and the crew from there. And then we'll head into Adelaide and catch up with Tim Dwyer and see what the fuel bill looks like to that stage. We're going to have a pretty interesting trip. It'll certainly give us an idea of what our mileage is going to be like. And then from there, of course, what great improvements we can expect once the H2 system is connected. Now, I haven't got it here in front of me. Vince, if you are watching, I'm not sure that you're in the chat tonight, but if you want to post up, let me just see if I've got it here. Nope. Give me 1 second, folks. Typical bloke can't type and talk at the same time. Yeah. That. I'm just trying to find the right home for Tim's hydrogen system. Might help if I put the page up a bit bigger. Now, Tim's system I was looking at on a different computer last night. That's why it's not in the bloody memory of this one. It does explain quite a few things, and I just can't for the life of me. Pardon with me. Should be better organised than this. That'll happen. Is Vince. Let me have a bit of a look here. I'm sure he texted it to me, and if he didn't do that, he sent it to me in an email. At any rate, it is quite a spectacular system that promises or has promises of delivering significant fuel savings and power benefits to vehicles of all shapes, forms, and sizes when it comes to petrol, diesel, or LPG, as this vehicle that we've got runs on. So looking forward to seeing running a book, so to speak, a bit of a comparison. So what it costs us in fuel and to what not to get to Adelaide, and then from there to get back, and running similar kilometres and probably a fairly similar, not similar road. We won't go the same route, but I can't imagine there'll be any more hills in the way we come back. So it shouldn't be any heavier, and we should get a good indication of just what sort of savings you get over 2.5 or no, what would that be? That'd be closer to probably 4.5, 5,000 kilometres return journey. So you might find that if you're doing a bit of touring around, it's worthwhile installing, and a couple of people have already gone to do that. If you want to go and find out more about Tim's system, I'll get the if Vince hasn't already posted it up in the chat somewhere. This thing moves so quick. I will find it and get it posted up, and if it's not in this show, I'll make it in the next one. But yeah, Tim Dwyer's H2 system has been employed in big trucks, mining sort of systems, big heavy haulage road trains, and in fact, on his front page, he's got a picture of a truck that says the system has saved this truck over $100,000 in fuel fees in 2 years. So if you've got big heavy machinery and you run diesel, apparently it's very, very good for that. Any kind of diesel, you'll get significant power and economy advantages by running this system. So if you are interested, h2@vofhq.com, and that will send an email straight to Tim, and he'll send you some details back on what you need and how much the whole system is. He's doing a deal for people from Voice of Freedom. I think normally the system is close to $4,000. And if you are going to tell him you found out about him through us, through Voice of Freedom, he'll give you a significant discount of about $600 bucks, I suppose. He'll get it to you for $3,400. So pretty good deal. So if you're wondering about price, that's the price, but consider the savings. And considering the position that we're in, I think we'll be able to save that sort of money probably in one trip. So something to consider. We're certainly going to put it to the test. So if you don't want to buy now, don't wait and see what happens, because I plan on putting a series up throughout our time just on fuel. So when I've got the vehicle, when I've fueled it up, and I can tell you now pretty much today, but there's no point in starting it, I did fill it full of LPG today after it's had new gas tanks installed and all that. So I know exactly how much gas goes into it. It's yet to be seen how much petrol goes into it, but I'll fill that up in the next few days when I've got it back, and we'll start a book from there and get what sort of mileage we do out of it right from the word go. The motor itself and everything is very, very good, and mechanically it's all very, very good. So the only thing, it's a huge bread box, so she doesn't exactly slide through the wind, if you know what I mean. But anyway, it is going to make a brilliant studio, and I look forward to you being able to be part of it. So we hopefully will come to a town near you. If you're interested in catching up with us, and we will be going everywhere, man, just tell us whereabouts you are. And if we happen to be coming past and you want to tag on while we're heading off, let us know, because if we do happen to be going somewhere where it's not likely that we're going to go too many places where you've got to book and pay to stay, because this thing is set up to go off-grid as well. However, we do also want to be where the people are. So we might do a lot of campgrounds, showgrounds camping, that sort of thing, rather than resort-style holiday camping, if you know what I mean. Also, if you know of people, and if you are part of the grey nomad community, if you are part of the caravanning, camping community, if you're part of the motorhoming RV community, then please get in touch. Another one to go to Rachel at vofhq.com. We're going to be creating some pretty significant changes around the Voice of Freedom and above the Voice of Freedom, so to speak, in the near future. And part of that will be helping to develop a community of those of us that are on the road, that we can help each other. That if you want to travel, and I know that there are a lot of single, this is going to sound like an ad for me, trust me, not that, but I know there are a lot of single ladies out there. I was only talking about it today with the guy that we bought this vehicle from. There are a lot of single ladies out there traveling around in motorhomes that like to band together to travel for security. And I think that is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant thing to be doing. We will also offer that sort of service if you so desire. If you want to tag along with us, then rest assured you'll be very safe with us. And we'd love to have you as part of our community. And nobody says you've got to come and stay forever. If you'd like to come and stay a week with us because we happen to be going in the same direction you are, then great. Odds are, in the early days at least, you'll be able to help me more than I'll be able to help you. I'm the one who's got to try and figure out how to negotiate this thing into places that I've never had it before. So, it's going to be an interesting time. And you only know half the story about it. Can I just leave it at that at this point for that? All right, so there has been some interesting things happening in the world outside of us getting a vehicle and trying to get it from the Gold Coast to Brisbane. I guess one of the biggest things that I've not been able to show you last night, and I'm late showing you tonight, is the fact that the suspended Dr. William Bay, in his conversation with us the other night regarding his High Court challenge, everybody, well, not everybody, a lot of people seemed okay with his explanation, even if they didn't really understand it. He has been copping a phenomenal amount of flack on whatever they call Twitter these days and other platforms. And he's just been saying, well, hang on, wait. You will recall that during our chat with the suspended Dr. William Bay, he said that he'd spent some time discussing this, not just with the Senator Malcolm Roberts, but also with his legal counsel, who you will hear in this little clip as the Senator refers to him. Have a listen to this clip. I think it's very important.
In this respect, I submit that the Australian Electoral Commission has erred in the proposed content of the ballot paper to be distributed and used in the 2023 referendum, as it is unconstitutional. During our telephone conversation of Friday, 8 September 2023, you informed Hugh Carter of my office that the ballot paper for the referendum is intended to be in the form of Form B, as in Schedule 1 of the Referendum Machinery Provisions Act 1984. I submit that Form B is unconstitutional as it only refers to the title of the proposed law when Section 128 of Australia's Constitution says that the proposed law shall be submitted to the electors. What comprises the proposed law? Section 128 says that the proposed law for the alteration thereof must be passed by an absolute majority of each House of the Parliament. This was done by the Constitutional Alteration Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Voice Act 2023. Schedule 1 of that Act inserts a new chapter to the Constitution as part of the proposed law. I then quoted that in my letter as Parliament approved. The distinction I made I make is that the above, from the word Chapter 9 until the words powers and procedures is the proposed law, that needs to be put to the electors on the ballot paper in full, not the mere title, to alter the Constitution to recognise the First Peoples of Australia by establishing an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. I also submit that the content of the official pamphlet is misleading, as on pages 8 and 9 there is reference to, I quoted the title again. I submit that at best, this title or description is merely a statement of purpose or intention to be attributed to the proposed law, and if printed as part of the ballot paper as currently intended, would be unconstitutional as not complying with the requirements of Section 128 of the Constitution to present the proposed law to the electors. With so much invested in the holding of this referendum, it is imperative that the process be uncontroversial and legally sound. To not do so invites external intervention and overview of the electoral and constitutional processes.
Methinks that the good senator certainly has managed to get a hand on it, and so has Hugh, his legal advisor in his office. Now, Hugh is not just a bloke who stumbles around and thinks he knows a bit about the law. Hugh is a very well credentialed lawyer. So for those folks that were having problems, Tricky maybe would like to have a consideration about the video that he put out, and the one that the suspended Dr. William Bay was referring to last week. And I believe on Monday he did instigate those proceedings against Tricky for defamation, amongst other things. And I don't think, given what I've seen, it would, well, probably not right of me to comment. It's a tricky road we wander, but always pays to, if you don't really fully understand, keep your mouth shut, sit back, watch. And if you can, ask the person directly. So I was lucky enough to be able to get to William, and he agreed to come on the show, and very happy and glad he did. I am catching up with him this week, and a little later this week. So all things being equal with this vehicle. And I hope to record a little something with him when we catch up then. It's possible we might do a little live, but more to the point, we're going to be discussing ways and means that we might be able to help going further. And clearly he will count this as a win. What Malcolm Roberts can do with it from here, I'm not completely sure. He's made the Parliament aware of it. That has to trigger the legal beaks in there somewhere, somehow. It's obviously going to get a lot of airplay through social media, through our circles and through your circles. I'm sure you'll share this knowledge as well. But it is a very difficult argument to try to explain to somebody if you don't really understand the whole argument. And sort of there are two different arguments here. Essentially, what the good senator is saying here is that that the suspended Dr. William Bay is correct in what he is saying, and that he hasn't been allowed to be heard is one thing. The sections that he's quoting out of the Constitution in there relate to an appeal that I believe was lodged on Monday by the suspended Dr. William Bay, and I think that he'll be able to tell us a little more about that, I hope, on Friday, without me trying to preempt anything that's going on with that. But once again, we get down to enforcement. Well, I think now that Malcolm Roberts has brought this up in the Senate, who the hell's going to enforce it? I don't know. I'm sure that's significant, though. In the future, if only just to say, hey, listen, you were made aware of it this date, this time, and you still chose to go ahead with this unlawful referendum. Now, you can listen to the words in there that the senator uses. He flags the fact that currently this whole thing is open to legal question, and a great deal of legal arguments will be put forward over the years coming fighting for against the changes that are being made here. But I think he's onto the fact that none of them should be made, and with a bit of luck, the referendum might have to be put off due to all the reasons that he outlined, but specifically they are not actually putting the question on the ballot paper, and that is against the Constitution, which is not so flash. The only other really big news that I have for you today, and that's not that there isn't any other really big news. I guess there is certainly other big news. Let me do some American stuff first. Today, September the 12th, is September the 11th in America. Some would call it Jesus' birthday, Jesus' actual birthday. In one religion, certainly today is known as Jesus' birthday. And of course, it is the anniversary of the atrocities that were the Twin Towers coming down in New York City. We now know for a fact, anybody who's silly enough to dispute it, can't believe it, we can show you, it was a deep state operation. It was not only the heist of the century, it was the insurance ripoff of the century. There was billions of dollars stolen. There was gold stolen. And, of course, there was an insurance ripoff that, I don't think has been beaten yet on a global scale. So that can all be proved. It will all be proved. Did 2 aircraft crash into it? You might be surprised. Could it have been something to do with Project Bluebeam? Anyway, today is a significant day, and Americans in the field of what we do are sort of champing at the bit, saying interesting things are happening. Well, the only interesting thing that I've found out so far that's happened is that Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, we're not quite sure who's pushing the buttons, has extended Executive Order 13848, which was due to end on September the 11th, 2023. Now, it has already been extended, I think, twice previously. We were expecting it not to be extended again, but from what I'm hearing, it has been extended. And there will be some reasoning behind that, probably that they're still cleaning things up, which leads me to our next point, and the thing that I think I put up on the Rumble channels. I better just say hello to the Rumble folks. Hello, Bernie Heim from Adelaide, and Petite. Yes, Bill Bay did deliver the Form 31. Highly recommend all single ladies on the road get a good dog. Petite, absolutely right. Yeah, not a lap dog, hey? I don't have Baxter here tonight to, if I let him in here, he'd never leave. But yeah, he's probably a bit big unless you've got a very large motorhome, but he's a mastiff, Baxter. A beautiful boy, unless you're doing the wrong thing, and then he's still a beautiful boy. He's just beautiful in a different way. But if you can afford to feed a dog like that, and more particularly, you've got a shit shovel the size of an elephant, and doggy bags that you've got to go to Bunnings to get because they're, gee, God, shit's like a horse. Only not nice little grassy bits. Just, my God. See, my eyes are watering just thinking about it. I just... Ooh. Anyway, yes, if you are going to travel on the road, ladies, get yourself a dog. And that'd be one with 4 legs, not one with, 2 teeth, a gold chain, and a good-looking watch. Just leave it at that before I get myself in trouble. I better go back and have a look at the comments. I haven't actually seen anybody. Who was in the first in here tonight? I know Sunflower had to leave, so hello and goodbye, Sunflower. God love you. I missed you. Sorry. Sharon was first in. Better late than never. God love you. Thank you. Yes, so much. Spring Tree. Yeah, thanks, mate. I'm sorry. I like to try and do the show on time if I can. Harm, nice to see you. Pinaroo, beautiful part of the world, Peter, and I reckon we've been in contact. Now, Pinaroo I'm going to have to look up which side of SA you are. I want to say you're on the eastern side of the Gulf. I could be wrong. But we're coming to South Australia, so with a bit of luck, we'll come somewhere near you, Peter, and be able to catch up. 10 cents in there. Agate Master. Maria, Andrew, Apache's back in. That Root Brand gal. Sandy, you wonderful lady. The donkeys say hi. Well, you just tell them that I love them to bits, and I'm going to come and visit them real soon. The Galactic Larricans are in the house. Nice to have you along, boys. You would have had pictures, but yeah, you know how it goes. All right, so let me get on to the interesting bit of news. There is an overseas force that is currently building a base, a barracks, and surround a small airport where they are landing their Chinook helicopters and doing whatever it is that they need to do. One of the bases, there are two particular areas that are being built, as far as I'm aware. One of those, at least for the time being, civilians can get reasonably close to. And an interesting fact that has been noticed is all the fencing, all the security fencing that's been put up is facing inwards, designed to keep the people who are on the inside. It's not designed to keep people on the outside out. So I find that interesting in and of itself. And the only time that we've seen that in the recent past is in Washington, D.C., where for the longest time, the Capitol and the White House were security fenced off, and all the razor wire was on the inside of the fences, not on the outside. It was on the inside keeping people in, not on the outside keeping people out. Where do you see that normally? In a prison or a confinement sort of area. So the other interesting thing to come from that is this particular military force has been here on operations for Operation Talisman Sabre. There was a great deal of excitement recently when an Antonov, the largest aircraft, shipping aircraft or bulk haulage aircraft in the world, arrived at Rockhampton in central Queensland. And I later found out, I thought it was there to pick up gear and take troops home and that kind of thing. It turned out that was not quite right. It was bringing more troops in, and that base that I'm talking about is around Rockhampton, and there's a little one further out, and they're using the Chinooks. There's two of them, their own, not ours, their own, to fly equipment and I assume people to the base wherever they're building that we haven't seen yet. This is the Singaporean military. So we have a training deal with the Singaporeans. I wasn't completely sure that our training deal would have extended to letting them build secure bases or secure areas, but as it seems they want to be locking themselves into that, or they're coming to get someone or many someones and put them inside that. I guess we don't really have to worry too much about it at this point in time. But certainly Operation Talisman Sabre is over, and this Antonov arrived heavy, not empty. So she brought a lot of stuff in. She may well have taken crew and equipment home that had been here, Talisman Sabre, but yeah, she certainly came in heavy. So, pardon me. We'll try and keep an eye on that one. I know that we've got a lot of friends in and around the Rockhampton area. So if you guys want to keep me appraised of what's going on there, we would love to know about that. In fact, there could be potential for a quick trip north before we go south, if that were the case. But we'll just have to wait and see how it plans out in the run for for down south, particularly for that date. I'd like to meet in October around Echuca. There is another reason for that, which I'll share at a different time. So yeah, that's about all the news that I've got for you currently. I haven't even seen what's happened in the world today or tried to interpret anything politically. I have heard that Anastasia Falasuk is still under a great deal of pressure, but like the stubborn cow she has proved to be right from the word go, she is not going to let go of the reins of power easily. She's going to drag the state of Queensland down as far and deep as she possibly can. She was bred for it after all. Not leadership. That just fell straight into her stone Gosling look lap after Campbell Newman was ousted, and nobody really thought he was going to get ousted. She, I think, was the leader of an opposition of 4 people at that election when they went in, and she was only given the leadership because she'd been in Parliament the longest of the other 3. So yeah. At any rate, we need someone who knows a lot more about Queensland and the Constitution of Queensland and the Parliament of Queensland and how the Parliament of Queensland is set up to work. There is no upper house. We have no Senate. We have no inspection process for the legislative process. And this, I think, makes us fairly unique amongst the states in Australia. And for that reason, Queensland seems to be at the head of a lot of this, and for the want of a better term, I'm going to call it federalised legislation that allows the states to band together and inflict the medical tyranny and imposition upon us that they did during the lockdowns and during their demands for the, well, you know what. So if you know people like that, then please get them in contact with us. Rachel at vofhq.com can look after that too. I'm very keen to find someone who really understands the intricacies of the Queensland parliamentary system. And historically, I know that it wasn't always this way, that the upper house was removed. Now, I want to say it happened sometime in the Bjelke-Petersen era, but that might not be right. That might have happened earlier. It may have happened after that. But if it happened after that, it will probably have been in the Wayne Goss era, which is another Labor guy that was running the joint after Joe. So there is something there, right? There is something there. They use Queensland. Queensland was used as a state before it became a state. It was used in federal documents before it was even given state recognition, but it was sort of known as the state of Queensland. Or it wasn't, and it was used because it wasn't known as a state. Therefore, a lot of the laws, as I say, that unite or give the states any power under a federal banner are enacted through Queensland and rubber stamped with a new state's name on it. Okay, and that's basically how that works. So, yeah, there's something in that somewhere. Why does Queensland have that power and no other state has that power? I'm confused. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Oh, wow. Petite's just left Canberra today, she says on Rumble, and noticed that microwave towers have doubled in number since her visit 6 months ago. Why do we need 5G when we have Starlink? Yeah, what a very good question she raises there. Now, you may have heard, now that she's mentioned 5G, it's triggered a memory of stuff I've read over the weekend. There is a warning going out about October the 4th and 5G. The warning basically says that the deep state are going to fire 3 18 gigahertz blasts out of these 5G transmitters that they have all over the place, and that this will activate whatever latent machinery they have inside of us. And it may not just be those that have had the pointy thing. It might also have come into us through our food chain, but not to the extent, and certainly not with the activation code and brain, if you like, that's required from having that pointy thing. So don't be sweating too much if you haven't had the pointy thing, but if you have, they suggest be very wary on the 5th. When this stuff activates, anything could happen. If it does activate, we will know. If nothing happens, I'm sure we won't hear about it. But a lot of the other stuff you'll hear about that day was a lot of car accidents, maybe. How many people are going to have to drop dead on the street before the news reports a lot of people dropping dead on the street? There is word that this will also kill birds within a certain radius. So, we've already seen in certain parts here in Australia, but more particularly in America, we've seen flocks of birds fall out of the sky because they've gone through some sort of microwave beam or whatever. So be aware that the 4th of October is the date they're predicting this for. Now, 4th of October, where? Here or America? So, I don't know. Put it in your calendar somewhere between the 4th and the 6th of October to be a bit aware. We already know there are certain clusters. I know of 2 clusters, at least around Brisbane, of these 5G towers, and I've had first-hand knowledge from people who live in the area, and one guy in particular, might be a girl, I don't know, who is a paramedic and works that area, and certainly agrees that since the installation of the 5G towers, there have been more accidents within 100 meters of that particular tower than ever before. So, and most of them are fatal accidents. Now, I have a theory. It's not really a hard theory to come up with. I have a theory that they're hiding these deaths that people are having, these sudden deaths that people are having in car accidents. So if you happen to die behind the wheel, and I'm going to use the late, great Andrew Symonds as an example here. Now, Andrew Symonds, Australian cricketer, died randomly of a heart attack driving down the road in his 4-wheel drive. Now, I've seen pictures of the crash scene, and he didn't just sort of drive off the right-hand side of the road. He swerved very hard, like right hand down real hard, left skid marks, and ran off the road. Now, he didn't hit anything terribly hard. He didn't come to a grinding halt up against a huge tree or anything like that. I suggest to you that he had a heart attack, and the pain, when it came, somehow, obviously, he's reacted with the steering wheel and he's driven right across the road. I posted something up on my Facebook page the other day. Another lady driving a little Hyundai had a medical moment and rolled her car. Now, I don't know whether or not she'd had the pokey thing, but these days, have eyes everywhere, folks. Keep your eyes wide open. And, there just seem to be a lot of people dying suddenly, and it doesn't seem to be just old people. It seems to be people of all ages. And as tragic as it is, we need to be very aware of it while we're on the roads, particularly. It's not so bad if we're just walking around, unless you're planning on catching someone or they drop on you. But on the roads particularly, be careful. Give yourself that bit of extra room, and particularly at crossroads and lights and all that kind of thing, keep an eye out, because you don't know. They may not be driving a little Hyundai. They might not be driving a little whatever Ford. They might be driving a B-double semi-trailer. So be aware. That's probably the big thing. TV Hub, you are a legend, my friend. Let me just copy that. Now, folks, I'm going to post this up in I guess it'll come up in the Nun2K chat. I'm going to put the address now for H2 Fuel Save. This is the address in the chat now, and I will also, if I can put that back up there, I will put this in a little banner that will just pop up there. Now, that is the website to go to check out Tim Dwyer's H2 fuel saving unit, and have a look at some of the testimonials on that website and have a bit of a look at what the system entails. I believe, depending on the size of your unit, if you're running a big rig, like a big semi-trailer, there are units for that, and then there are units going right down to your standard car. He has run a unit in his, I want to say it's a VN Commodore, so she's an old one, 20 plus years. He's been running that now for, I think, over 700,000 kilometers. And you'll see that his system, if employed on an engine, they have never had an engine hurt, destroyed, damaged in any way. So you can be completely happy, at least so far on performance, that it doesn't do any damage. It does just make life a bit easier on your fuel bill and makes life a bit easier on the power. It apparently gives you pretty significant increases in power. So that's the website to go to, h2fuel-save.net.au. And make sure, if you get more information and this is something you want to go on with, make sure you tell Tim and the team there that you're a VoF family member, and they will give you that discount, okay? It's important that you get the discount. So do that, tell him you come from us, and he'll look after you. He is a bloody good bloke, and of course we'll have him back on to talk constitutions as well. In fact, I hope he's going to play a significant role in what's coming forward, as I hope a number of these guys with constitutional, well, they all think they have a solution. This may not be the night to mention it, but I'll do it all the same. There are a number of people who believe they have the solution, our constitutional solution. There are plenty of people who believe they have an idea of what's going on. Some of those people have been studying the Constitution and all the ins and outs of it for many years, Tim Dwyer being one. I know Rod Cullerton has spent a lot of time, Wayne Glue has spent a lot of time, Dick Yardley has spent a shitload of time. 30 years, 40 years studying this. And there are a lot of new people who've come in on the common law bandwagon, and they all think they have a solution too. Can I tell you, my feeling, and it's only my feeling, my opinion is that none of them have the solution. Not yet. If any of them had found the solution, one of the other ones would have found it too. But at the moment, all of them have found different solutions. Therefore, we can't have one solution. And this is troubling in our constitutional argument, because we can but only have one. So getting some of these people to accept that they don't have the solution, but that's not to dismiss their work in any way. But to call it the solution and expect everybody to fall at their feet and say, thank God you found the solution, yip yeah, well, let's vote for that, I believe would be wrong. So I'm hatching a plan to hopefully bring as many of these people together as we can. And we have everybody present their version of the solution, because I firmly believe that everybody, especially the guys who are deeply, deeply invested in this with their research, and I count Fitz in amongst all this too, even though he's not talking to me. These guys all have a part of the solution, I believe. And we're going to bring them together. That's what I'd like to do, bring them together and see whether or not we can find out which parts everybody has and which parts are missing from certain people's arguments. And if one person's argument is stronger than another person's argument in a certain area, then maybe we can agree that that is the way forward. That might be that certain part of the solution. And then we might wind up with gaps where we need to, find other solutions. It'll give us one direction to follow, though. So I think this is one of the things I'd like to go forward with, and one of the things I'd like to put this vehicle to good use with. Give these guys a platform, and let's discuss it. Let's make it happen. Because at the moment, if you had to choose, well, I could run probably half a dozen names past you. You might know a couple of them. You may have heard of a couple of them. You probably wouldn't have heard of most of them. And if I was to tell you that, oh, yeah, this guy's found the solution, and you're willing to believe me, then you've learnt nothing over the time watching this show. So we need to do a lot more investigation. And I do believe that while all the work that these people that I've mentioned and others, all that work is valuable. Don't get me wrong. I am not taking away from the work they've put in at all. All of it is valuable. All of it is learning. All of it. So what I am suggesting, though, is that we haven't finished learning yet. We haven't found the solution just yet. But if we can all get together, if we can all band together, think together, put our egos aside, and work for the betterment of each other rather than ourselves, then I believe we have potential to come up with a document that the country could follow. And I hope that we can do that. Probably shouldn't have told you all about it now. Somebody else will go out and do it. But we will give them the opportunity to do it on a big platform. So, or we'll do it. That's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to do it. So look forward to have you as part of that, because the people should be involved in that as well. And if it's something you want to be part of, Rachel knows about this as well. She's going to get a lot of emails, which is good because she said she doesn't get too many at the moment. Rachel at vofhq.com, and just call it, Carl's Get Together or whatever. And that will be, flag your interest in coming to that and which part of the country you are in. Because we will do this, but I suspect it might take more than a day. And it might mean traveling if you want to come and be part of an audience. So bear that in mind. All right, it's been a long, long day. My eyes are hanging out of my head, and I don't know how long we've been going, nearly an hour. I'm going to head off and go to bed, say a few prayers that whatever needs to be fixed gets fixed easily and quickly, and I can go and get this vehicle back and start to get it ready. I should point out we are going to have our My Place Brisbane launch on Saturday, the 30th of September. It'll also be the launch date for the vehicle if everything goes all right. So if you are in Brisbane or you want to be in Brisbane and you want to come to our launch, it'll be a 5 o'clock for a 6 o'clock start. And we should be over by 9 or 9:30, I'd imagine, at the latest. It won't be a terribly long night. However, there will be food available. In fact, there'll be food trucks available. There will be alcoholic beverages available to purchase. And in fact, can I just suggest, if you like a tipple, bring $1, because you might be able to buy a bottle or two. And you might be quite amazed at just how nice it is. And of course, that would be from our host. And there are a couple of wonderful places in Brisbane where we've been offered to have a home. So we will make use of them all. And thankfully, all of them offer food and a beverage. So thank you very much to everybody who's come out of the woodwork. But if you want to come to our launch party for Brisbane, then please email Rachel at vofhq.com. We have very limited seating. I've got to invite a few people for this one myself. The venue at the moment, because we don't want to go and ruffle too many figures, is just going to limit us to 100 people initially. So if you want to come, we would love to have you, but we must know beforehand. And if you email Rachel and signal your desire to be there on the 30th from 5 p.m, it'll be a 6 o'clock start. And like I say, we should be done by 9:30 at the absolute latest. And it will be in the eastern suburbs of Brisbane. In fact, I'll go so far as to say it'll be in the Redlands. So if you know Brisbane, you'll know that area. And if you're coming from the CBD, 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe. So yeah, not a long drive. But if you are going to plan on having a drink, make sure you bring a driver who isn't planning on having a drink. We do not condone drinking and driving around here. All right, folks, love your work. Have yourself a bloody good day and be safe on the roads. There are plenty of dickheads out there. In fact, I saw one out there today. He was staring at me back in the mirror. That was certainly the feelings I was having there at one stage. No, I'm not going to get into it. It was not too bad. It could have been a lot worse, and the issues are going to be fixed. So we're all sorted. It's just been a long day where a lot of waiting and very little achieved, unfortunately. So I'm sorry the show's been a bit scarce tonight, or a bit sparse. I will do better. Tomorrow I have, it depends on what happens with the vehicle. We'll find that out. Thursday at this stage, there's some interesting. I've got to sort of help a friend out on Thursday, and I might be on the road at the time there needs to be a show, or I'll pull over and do it, but it'll only be on None 2K. So be aware Thursday night for you Rumble folks. If I'm not there at 6:30, it'll be probably on the None 2K YouTube channel, because that's the only one that works off the phone. And Friday night, who knows what we'll do. I hope to have, like I say, something for you from William Bay. So we'll be able to talk more about what he's heard from the good senator, because I'm sure the senator will be hearing things in the background after what he's put up yesterday in the Senate, and calling out the referendum for what it is. Nothing but a piece of shite. Have yourself a good night, folks.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!